So this week I had a ton of work to do, and do you know what I did? I did absolutely none of it. And instead, I made a ton of tiny Kirby cars. It all started when I started watching some Kirby gameplay the other day. Now, I don't have a Nintendo Switch. I can't afford a Nintendo Switch. Definitely can't afford the new Kirby game, but you know, we have gameplay on YouTube, it's fine. Let me tell you though, when I saw that Kirby car, I was obsessed. So naturally, out came my camera, out came my clay, out came my paint, and I ended up making all of these. So if you want to see how I made them, keep on watching.
So I started off with a small ball of polymer clay. I rolled it out into a snake and taking some wire cutters, I just cut out loads of little individual pieces around about the same size. With these pieces, I rolled them into little balls and pressed them down sort of flat on the back of a baking tray so that they made the wheels. I ended up making loads more than I actually needed, so when they were baked, I was able to pick out the best sets of 4 and I used these as wheels like I said. To create the base of the car, I ended up taking a small ball of polymer clay again, flattening it down into a square, rounded, rectangle-like shape and adding the wheels onto either side, obviously 2 on each side. I then added a little bumper, so like a little snake on one side, and then 2 little balls to create the exhaust on the other side, pressing them flat with my fingers. Once I had the base of the cars done, I then popped those into the oven to bake those as well. Once out of the oven, I ended up taking another ball of polymer clay and just pinching it together with my thumb and index finger on either side to create this light shape. I then just smoothed it around the already baked car and then smoothed out the edges and then inserted an eye pin and baked it once again.
So you're probably thinking that's a whole lot of baking. We baked for the wheels, we baked for the base, we baked for the overall piece. The other 2 bakes for the wheels and the base of the car are what I like to call pre-baking. I put them in at the same temperature as all of the polymer clay charms that I like to bake, so 110 degrees Celsius, but I only bake them for around about 5 minutes. And this is just so that they harden, but they don't completely cure. You can cure them off if you want to. You can always rebake polymer clay so long as it's not glazed or painted, and it should just be fine. But I like to put them in for a really short amount of time so that they're nice and stable. So like for the wheels, for example, I could press them into the unbaked clay of like the base of the car, and then obviously they're not gonna like misshapen. A lot of people always end up smushing their clay, and pre-baking allows you to get away with that. Usually I would stop here. But you know, like I said, I was really obsessed with these cars, so I ended up going a little bit further. I ended up making a whole load more, and the way that I did this really fast was by using resin. So I'm going to show you how I did that.
So obviously when making resin pieces, you're going to need a mold. So I made this mold by cutting off a bit of old packaging. This was actually old packaging, so some Cricut vinyl. And I ended up hot and gluing it down to a piece of kind of coated card, and then just really hot gluing all around that to make sure that I had no air gaps or anything, so that when I poured in some silicone, I would be fine. I hot glued down the actual charms themselves as well, so they were upside down, and then the tops of the charms were facing the bottom, so that the mold would go all the way around it and that sort of stuff. And I mixed up some silicone. This one here is just a silicone that I really like. It's got a fast catalyst to it, so it only takes around about 4 hours to cure off, which is amazing. So I was able to mix up the silicone with the catalyst like so, getting really right on in there, and then pouring the silicone into that kind of like plasticky mess of a mold casing, like so. I ended up taking my time with the silicone, pouring it down in one corner so that the silicone could make its way around the charms, making sure there's no air bubbles around the tiny little details. This took quite a while to pour the silicone, but it was very satisfying. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I thoroughly enjoyed making the casing of the mold in a clear kind of packaging, so I was able to see all of the charms be encased in the silicone. Like I said, I used a fast catalyst for this, so the mold itself was ready to demold in 4 hours, which I was very happy with. And once basically I'd waited that long, I was able to peel off the cardboard from the bottom and just pop the mold out of the plastic, because the silicone obviously didn't stick to it. And this is my favorite bit about making molds, just like demolding the actual molds themselves. Don't know, just really enjoy it. I did actually add 2 little kind of relief cuts where the charms are, so that I was able to just pop them out. But once I had done that, the mold was ready to rumble, ready to be cast from.
Ooh. So I made 2 molds, as you can see, just in the exact same way. They turned out perfectly. Loved them. Did I have some problems though on the next step? Yes, I did, because I rushed it. I was like, I need to get these little castings going. I can do it. Long story short, I ended up getting some serious air bubbles in where the little feet were. And then I had the bright idea of cutting them off and all sorts, but you'll see that. The mold themselves actually worked out perfectly. The air bubbles, I don't know. I feel like I need to rotate them a little bit, maybe when I'm moulding, but I ran out of resin. Luckily I did, because I almost made 100 of these. I had it in my head, I was like, I'm gonna make 100. So I made 2 molds to speed things up a bit, so I could pour it in and, you know, I could just double my speed basically. But luckily for myself, I did run out of resin. Thank the Lord, because I would have gone through and made 100. I was really, really into this. So then was on to resin casting, fixing them up and painting. Yes.
Like I said, I had full intentions of making 100 charms, but I ended up making around about 20, 25, something around that. I haven't actually counted them. I definitely should do that. But yeah, I made the castings of them, and I didn't film that process because like I said, I fully intended to make so many, but I ran out of resin before I even had a chance to even film it. But yeah, basically just pour the resin in, wait for it to cure, and pop them out again. Very simple. Like I said, I had loads of air bubbles in the feet and the bumper. Was gonna pretend that didn't happen, but you know, mistakes happen, and yeah, I fixed them. So I ended up sanding back all of the charms individually. I ended up cutting off the bumpers and the feet and everything like that, then sanding them back just with a little drill tool, just so that I sped that up. And then I replaced all of those feet and all the bumpers with epoxy clay, just in the same way that I did with the polymer clay, and then I left that to cure. Once that cured down, it was then on to painting. Did I spend 2 days painting these that I definitely did not have time for in my schedule? Yes. But yeah, painting these was an absolute blast. Loved it. Put on some true crime documentaries, put on some true crime podcasts, you know how it is, and I just started painting away, just basically using acrylic paint, just painting on all the little details. Started with the under kind of car bit first, and then painted the top pink bit of Kirby in, all the details on later. As you can see here, look very cute and very Kirby-esque. Once they were done, I then just glazed them with some UV resin and some glitter mixed in. I did also add eye pins in, as you would have just seen as well. Glazed them, and then I ended up adding all the findings on once they had been glazed. I used UV resin to glaze these just because it was going to be quick to cure down, and I didn't want to wait for the epoxy. I've been working on this project for way too long. I didn't have the time to wait for that as well, so I just glazed them with the UV resin and added all the findings one by one.
Oh, so yeah, once all of the finders and stuff were in place, my Kirby charms were then complete. Like, see, I made a cupful. I now need to spend the next couple of days just working my absolute butt to kind of catch up on my schedule. But chances are that's not going to happen. I'm going to end up procrastinating with another project. So definitely keep an eye out for the next project coming on soon. Like I said though, cut for Kirby cast. Who doesn't want that in their lives? Hello. Let me just show you a nice close-up of just one. If I'm being good, I'm going to give you a nice overlay right now of this little bad boy so you can see him nice and up close. Let me give you a brief description of what he looks like. Okay. Kirby eyes on there. Very cute face. Got a little bumper underneath. Love that. Kirby's arms. Oh yeah, look at the little wheels. Feet on there, lovely glitter coating on there, love the glitter resin on the top, just love that. Oh, so sparkly, so nice, very subtle but very nice. Got the little wheels, like I said, love them, they turned out so cute. The bumper on there, oh, adorable. The little bit at the back, they're meant to be exhausts. They do look like little googly eyes or something, but I do like to believe they're exhausts, and I do think that they are adorable. Loving the gold findings with the pink. I think that's beautiful as well. And overall, I'm very happy. I am the proud owner of a lot of these. Do I know how many I have? No. I'm going to count them right now. Hold on. Oh, I'm dropping them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Oh, I only made 17. I can't believe I only made 17. It took me like 4 days to do that, if not longer. That was a colossal waste of my time. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed today's video. At least we have a video about her and I have loads of cars. If you want to check out my Etsy shop, link to that will be down below. I will see you next week for another video. I'm sure I will have another one which took me ridiculously long that I didn't need to make or anything like that, but it will be very cute, I'm sure. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me and I will see you in my next video. Bye.